Okay, hi everybody. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over Delight and Disorder, which we've all read, and then, to sort of model how you might work with the other poems to talk about these Freudian elements that are actually that he stole from literary criticism. So first, what are they? We want to look for latent and manifest. So what I'm gonna do is I'm kind of modeling what you could do when you work on poems, okay? So I'm gonna write these things that I'm looking for down over here. Dream work and interpretation. I don't have to find that. That's sort of the whole thing. I'll just put what we're doing is interpretation. Dream work would be the equivalent of writing the poem, and interpreting is what we do when we read the poem. So, I mean, we will be doing that. And then condensation and displacement. And imagery. Okay. Okay, and you want to make sure that you kind of try to understand Freud's ideas about these things that are in the book. Latent is like, in my own words, latent is like, well, manifest is like the literal surface meaning, and latent is like the interpretive meaning or the secondary meaning. And you always want to start with the manifest meaning. Any latent meanings or that there are there because of the literal meaning. Condensation, what he means by that is when one thing means a lot of things, like when one word is condensed into one word is a lot of ideas or things. Displacement is when you talk about one thing in terms of another. Like instead of talking about the whole dress, you talk about part of the dress, for example, and we'll see. And then imagery, well, that means just what it says. Though I should say that in poetry and literature in general, imagery doesn't just refer to visual imagery, it can refer to any of the five senses. And so smell, taste, touch, sound, as well as sight. And the reason that poets love imagery so much is it's a way to get away from cliche. You can create symbols and ideas by talking about the way things really look in the world, and that gets us much closer to sort of original, honest feelings than just saying, for example, I'm in love. I'm in love is one thing, but to say you are a rose, even though that's a cliche, just to give a quick one, is a richer idea because I'm in love is just such a, everybody says that, so what does it mean? So you try to get at the real feeling by finding these images that get there. So okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I suggested to you guys, right, that we've got this how to read a poem. I gave that to you. It's on the blackboard. So I'm going to kind of use it to get to know a poem, and you can do this with the other poems, okay? So first thing is to pay attention to the title. And boom, really the title, in this case, the title really gives us a lot, right? Disorder, delight, and disorder. First, I like the double D's. That's nice. That's sound. We're not really talking about that, but I can't help but notice it. And so we know that this is going to be about something that's disorderly and that probably the speaker delights in it, right? Now, another thing about this poem is it's got a lot of old-fashioned vocabulary. So, because it was written back in the 1600s. And so, yeah, I've read a lot, so I know a lot of these words already, but a lot of them I didn't know. And so it took me a lot of time, and I'm going to put up I think I'm going to put up a picture or a painting from the time so that you can kind of imagine it a little bit more. And, and I've looked up some of these words and thought about them. So I'm going to kind of condense that, if you will, and not show you how much time you would actually need to spend looking up the various words, okay? But the next step is to listen. So let's just read it aloud straight through just to get the feel of it in your skin and the rhythm. Again, this is just like a song. You don't just listen to a song once, you listen to it over and over. So I'll read through the whole thing. Delight and disorder. A sweet disorder in the dress kindles in clothes a wantonness. A lawn about the shoulders thrown into a fine distraction. An erring lace which here and there enthralls the crimson stomacher. A cuff neglectful, and thereby ribbons to flow confusedly. A winning wave deserving note in the tempestuous petticoat. A careless shoestring in whose tie I see a wild civility. Do more bewitch me than when art is too precise in every part.